Hi, this is Todd Anderson from Solatube Product Specialist. Today we're going to go over shades for skylights. We're going to cover both operable and fixed shades for the HSE skylights. Okay, so we've opened up the packaging, and just to go through what's inside, we get a pole, so this is an extension pole that will operate the shade, and so you can use this to open and close. And then we also have the hardware kit, and it comes with the shade itself. Okay, so we've opened the packaging, and we have essentially inside here we have the operable screen, and then we have the two sides and a little hardware kit that we're going to use later. What we want to do is just kind of open this up, and we can take this screen and pull it apart here. Holding it together is this string here that's going to help guide the screen back and forth, and that's an important piece that I'll show you in a little bit. But essentially what we're going to do is assemble the sides to this here so we can make a frame for it. On the sides there's pre-punched holes on them. What we want to make sure is that when we install, where the handle is, where we have it here, we want to make sure that the holes are down towards the bottom, because this is going to be where the glass is down below. On a fixed skylight, it's really important that we have them on the downside there, because it's going to give us a little space to push off, and these little bumpers are going to help give us a spacer between the glass and the actual shade itself. So that's kind of important. We want to make sure that that happens. So let's go ahead and put this together. We can, and let me push this to the side here so you guys can see. So notice we've got the pre-punched holes on the downside, and what we're going to do is just line this piece up. You'll see here as I'm pushing this in, we're going to line up this piece here on this channel, and these pieces here are going to line up with this channel here. So as you're visually over the top of it, lining that up, you can actually just do that and see how it lines up just perfectly there. Then we can go ahead and push it in, and we can do the same thing on the opposite side. So we'll just line up, make sure that is in this channel here, and then it pushes together, it locks it in place. So then we can go ahead and do the other side. Just the same thing we just did. So we can go ahead and go line up here with that channel. And as it lines up, just goes right into place there. And then we'll get that last one. Line it inside, right there, follows place. And then we can pull it down, and it just slides right in, locks it into place. So now we have the frame together. Later on, what we can do is adjust the tension with the spring and these strings that I showed you just a second ago. This here will adjust the tension. We can adjust tension by just pulling on this piece, or actually releasing some of the pressure. So you want to make sure that this has good tension, that it's not going to slide down on you on a slope. So if you have a steeper pitched roof, it's not going to just slide down and open the shade or close the shade on its own. We want to make sure we have it tight enough or snug enough to where this is going to be operated by this here instead of gravity. In this case, this one's good, so we're just going to leave it as is, and then we can go ahead and install it into the skylight. Okay, so we've got the screen all set up with the tension. Everything's good to go here, so we can go ahead and just drop it into the operable base here. So we're just going to take it, and then we can go ahead and just drop it right into place. On an operable skylight, I think the ideal position of the handle itself would be on this side, this being the downslope, because this is where the solar panel is. So this is going to be on the downslope portion of the pitch. The reason I say that is because the chain's going to push open the operable portion there, and if you want to still get shade but also still have ventilation, have it open to get that ventilation, you can close it slightly and still have air coming in and out that way, as opposed to the opposite side where you have to close it all the way. Or only coming from the top section in here. So ideally this would be the ideal positioning for the operable shade here. Okay, so this just sits right inside here. We've got our hardware kit. So in the kit we have our 4 fasteners, and that's going to fasten straight into the PVC frame here. And we also get these little white bumpers. This is only for the fixed skylight, so we're not going to utilize these here, but we'll show you in another video how to use those with the fixed. For now, we're just going to go ahead and fasten these into the operable base. Okay, so we're just going to fasten this into the actual frame, the PVC frame itself. So we're going to take a screw gun and utilize those fasteners that were in the hardware kit. And you'll see here, it's kind of hard to see, but those pre-drilled holes that I was mentioning before. And we're going to go ahead and hold it, reach down inside, and we'll try to get this as straight as possible. Okay, there's one. Let me get the next guy here. Okay, and then we'll do the same on just the opposite side. So we're going to get all four in. Okay, now that the shade is installed and fastened inside the operable base, we can go ahead and finish off by cutting the slack of these strings here, because we don't want them showing. So we can just take a knife and just cut it right down towards the edge there. Both sides. Okay, now that the shade's in place, it's fastened to the operable base. This unit is ready to take up to the roof to be installed on the curb. Okay, now we're going to show how to fasten a shade to a fixed skylight. So the process of building the shade itself is the same as the previous one and the operable shade. The only difference on this here is we're going to go ahead and add these little bumpers to create that insulation layer so that we're not touching directly onto the glass. So I'm going to show you how to do that now. So we have got the assembled shade itself. We're going to turn it upside down. The handle is going to be then towards the ground here. And then we're going to take these little bumps. I'm going to pull one off and directly right over where that fastener is. So I'll show you here where that fastener is going to go. So that's where that pre-drilled hole is. So we're just going to put it and set it right on top of that section there. And we're going to do that to all four of them. What that's going to do is just push it off the glass just ever so slightly to create an insulation layer. And so that this is not actually just touching onto the glass itself, which is not good. So we'll do it on the back side here, right where those fasteners are going to go in. Right there, like so. So now those bumps are on, we can go ahead and install this just as we were going to on the operable, but we're going to just flip this over. And then we can go ahead and set it down. Okay, so then it's set off and I can actually get my finger underneath there, so there's just a little bit of space for it there. Okay, so we're ready to fasten the shade frame to the skylight frame here. The most important thing to note here on a fixed skylight is that we want to make sure that we go into the PVC frame itself as straight as possible. If we're at an angle, if we're coming in at an angle, what could happen is that the screw head come through and then push on the glass. We don't want that to happen, so we want to go in as straight as we can. So I'm going to try to demonstrate that here. So we'll find that piece there, and it's pretty low. Okay, there's one. And we're just going to finish off with all four. I'll get these other two. Okay, so now that this is fastened onto the fixed skylight, we're ready to take this up on the roof and finish the installation. Okay, so we've got all our equipment and parts that we need up on the roof, and we're ready to install. Prep for the curb is just the same as we've shown previously, so we're going to go ahead and clean that off and put all the proper seals on there. And then with the operable base, with the shade, it's just as easy as picking it up and setting it right onto the curb. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, that's aligned and is ready to install. Okay, so we're ready to install a fixed skylight with the shade. The one thing that we got to determine first is if we need to make adjustments to the actual curb chase itself. And what I mean is that we got to check the dimensions here to make sure that the inside dimensions of the actual chase are larger than the outside dimensions of the Skylight shade, so that they don't interfere with each other. And I'm going to demonstrate that now. So we're just going to take a quick measurement of the inside diameter of the curb chase, and this is 20 7/8 by. This is actually just 21 1/4. So if we look at the cheat sheet that you can see there, I'm going to look at a 28 by 28 frame, and I'm going to go over to the shade OD, and this is 20 7/8. So both of those dimensions are larger than what the shade is, so we're okay on this version. If we needed to, if it was actually a little bit smaller, what we'd have to do is add some PVC to the chase itself to accommodate for that shade so that it doesn't interfere with the chase. Okay, so this Skylight's squared up and ready to be finished off. So for this Skylight, we actually measured the inside dimensions of the curb chase, and we looked at our cheat sheet for this Skylight. It's a 28 28, and we looked at the OD of the shade opening, and 20 7/8. This one measures under that size, so it's about 20 1/4. So we, in this case, we're actually going to have to bump up the height of the curb so that the shade doesn't interfere with the actual curb itself. So I'm going to show you how to do that. To bump up the curb or to raise the height on it, what we recommend using is a simple PVC that can be bought off the shelf at any of your local hardware stores. In this case, this is a mimic of a 1x2, 2x4 lumber, or 2x lumber. And we want to use PVC just because it's easier to use, and we can use simple tools to cut it without making a mess with dust, debris, extra tooling up on up here, mechanical equipment. And so we just have simple tools that'll cut this, and it just makes it that much easier. So we'll go ahead and utilize this. What we want to do is then measure the curb so we can cut it to length. So we're just going to use simple tools, PVC cutters. These are typical what you would see for PVC piping for your yard sprinkler systems and stuff like that. Really easy to find off the shelf. And then we just cut a straight line there. And it cuts really easy, so it's not making a mess. You don't have to use a lot of force, and then you've got your one piece that you need to sit on that curb. And then we'll go ahead and cut the rest. Okay, so now we can fasten the cut pieces to the curb itself. And what you want to do is you want to set it on the curb, on the outside edge of the curb, meaning the outside flush edge here. That way that's going to leave a little space here, a gap for that shade to fit and then operate freely. So we can go ahead and fasten it with just regular construction screws. And then we can go to the opposite side. Okay, now we can take that last measurement for the other two sides, cut that piece. All right, we got that marked, and then we can cut that last piece. Okay. Set that piece here. Again, put it up flush with the edge. And then finish off on this last one. Okay, so we have the PVC installed. We've got the curb raised. The last thing we want to do before we do anything else is we like to counter flash the curb itself. So we want to make sure that this is actually covered over the top and covers the existing flashing material. What we like to use is a 1/2 by 3 flashing material that you can find at any local hardware store. This piece here is just real easy to find. Like I said, any hardware store is going to carry it for you. What we do is actually start from the base, because we want to make sure that when this is wrapped around up top, that the top piece actually comes and laps over, just like your shingles are going to lap over the top of each other on the downslope, so the water will penetrate, or actually won't penetrate, will just wick on by. So I'm going to show you how to do that here. It's actually pretty simple. We're just going to hold it here so this is covered, even on both sides. And what we'll do is we'll take a good pair of shears, and right at that edge, we're just going to cut, make a mark to cut, and cut there. Just make a mark, and then we can take it and finish it. So right on that line, all the way to the edge, and we'll do the same on the other side here. What that allows us to do is set that counter flash back on, and then we can just take it and then bend it over the edge so that it'll hug that curb. So then that affixes to the curb itself and creates that counter flash that we're looking for. So then the curb, where we've raised it, is protected from water and then covers the base here, and then wicks over the water will then wick over the top there. What we'll do is just fasten this in, and I'll show you how to do that right now. So to fasten the counter flash to the curb, we're going to put nails in here, and we're just going to put them as high as we can go. Okay. Okay. We'll throw a couple in here. Okay, so we've got the bottom piece in, and we just want to put the top counter flash on. What we want to do is just finish this off, and we're going to bend this again over. We want to make sure when it bends over that we get at least a couple inches of overlap on here, so we have a proper flash over here. So eyeballing this here, I'm going to go just a little bit longer. So I'm going to make a mark here. As you can see, so that one we can actually see right now. And that's pretty good overlap right there. And we'll do the same here. And we'll just bend that piece over. All right, you can see that we're pretty good there. So then I can go ahead and start. So we'll go ahead, and we've got the measurement here. So we just want a proper overlap, and so we'll just cut it about the same as the other side. And I can go ahead and finish that off. Okay. Just place that back over the top, and then we'll go ahead and put our fasteners in. All right, we've got the curb raised properly and counter flashed properly. Now we can go ahead and apply the seal and then install the skylight. All right, so we've gone over just about everything with the shades. We've shown you how to install down on the ground floor and put them on an operable base and in a fixed skylight. We brought all the materials up here. We showed you how to install with the shades in place, operation of the shades, and we actually showed you how to raise a curb for a fixed skylight to get that interference away from the shade itself. So. All in all, I think we've gone through just about everything for you guys.
Lastly,
Let's take a look at some resources for you. We have the CIC Field Size Matrix available on Brand Folder. Next, we have installation instructions available on the Technical Resources page at www.solatube.com. Samples of the tools, PVC, and counter flashings used in this video can be found in the video description provided below. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to any one of us at Product Enterprise, Customer Care, or your Premier Dealer Success Manager for assistance. Thank you. Have a great day.